What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Lions video and welcome back to some more training camp talks. Today we are going to be going over the big takeaways from day 4 of training camp, everything from the defensive line rotation, some particular UDFA standouts, some offensive formations and offensive philosophies, along with some more QB2 controversy. Now, if that sounds interesting to you and if you want to hear about the biggest takeaways from day 4 of training camp, then stay tuned because we will get into it in just a minute. But before we do so and before we get into talking about day 4 of Detroit Lions training camp, if you are new to the channel and you're enjoying the content, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes just 2 seconds out of you to do so. It's quick, it's free, and it is incredibly easy to do, and you would be helping the channel out more than you could possibly know. So if you could do that, take those 2 seconds to like and subscribe. I'd be incredibly appreciative for it. With all of that being said, without any further ado, let's get right into taking a look at day 4 of Detroit Lions training camp.
So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
Starting with the defensive line rotation, the defensive line has really been a big emphasis this offseason for Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. Obviously, drafting Levi Onwuzurike and Aleem McNeill in the NFL Draft, trading for Michael Brockers, re-signing Romeo Okwara, whatever you want to look at. Obviously, and it's been very clear that the defensive line has been Brad Holmes' biggest emphasis this offseason, and it has been his job and his mindset that he wants to build this unit up first and make them the best unit that they can be. While the defensive line is starting to get a little bit more buzz as they continue to develop and as they continue to kind of find their footing and find which players are going to fit their defense best for certain roles. Now, in day 4, they really worked a lot with the defensive line on different pass rushing rotations and different kind of lineups for how they might want to rush the passer in 2021. Now, these lineups included players like, of course, Trey Flowers, Michael Brockers, Nick Williams, Deshaun Hand, and both Okwara brothers rotating around at multiple different positions, each for pass rushing downs. There was a set with Trey Flowers, Romeo Okwara, and Deshaun Hand. There was a set with Romeo Okwara, Trey Flowers, and Nick Williams. There was a set with Michael Brockers, Deshaun Hand, and the Okwara brothers. Like, there was a lot of different rotations, and all 6 of those players saw different time and different snaps in different sets based off, obviously, passing down, passing distance, and of course the situation that they were put in. So I think that the Lions are really trying to emphasize versatility. They're really trying to emphasize all the different moving pieces on this line. And although it may be discouraging, although it might not be the most encouraging that Levi and Aleem weren't put in that, and obviously John Pennicini weren't either, those guys right now are more looked at as run stoppers, though I think Levi is probably going to be in that mix as well. I'm sure he was. He probably just wasn't mentioned because that's a lot of names to type. You know, he obviously, and I'm pretty sure, was part of that defensive line rotation as well. So he was part of that, and obviously, and unfortunately, Aleem McNeill and John Pennicini are more nose tackles, so they're not going to really be in on pass rushing downs. But, you know, it's very interesting to see the different formations and very interesting to see the different rotations of players that the Detroit Lions are putting out on the defensive line. And I do believe that this rotation is going to be something worthwhile. I do think this rotation is going to help the Lions be a better defensive line, and with a defensive line, obviously be a better defense overall this season. I think that just the rotation with all these different players being talented, of course, hopefully all these players are healthy. If we can rotate these guys around, keep them fresh throughout the games, then I believe that we can wear down offensive lines, and eventually, maybe not in the first quarter, but come the second half, and especially come the fourth quarter late in the game, you're going to see this Lions pressure continue, and you're going to continue to see them go after the quarterback and go after the quarterback and go after the quarterback, and eventually they're going to get home for some game-changing sacks and hopefully some game-changing turnovers. The defensive line is not the only group getting some love of this week, as the secondary has also had a lot of good players and had a lot of players have some standout performances. But in particular, we're going to be focusing on undrafted free agent standout Jerry Jacobs, the defensive back from Arkansas. Now, Jerry Jacobs has been seen numerous times over the first week of training camp trying to seek out guidance from not only his coaches, but also from Jeff Okudah. Jeff Okudah is a player that has stepped up a lot this offseason in a leadership role and is not afraid to share his advice with players and is not afraid to take a couple players under his wing and teach them everything he learned from a up and down rookie season with some really good highs, but also some incredibly low lows. Now, Jerry Jacobs is a player coming out of Arkansas that was a really solid player in college, was a really good player in the SEC, obviously a defensive back in the SEC where they are known for their defense, had 4 interceptions his rookie year in college, and really overall showed a lot of flashes throughout his collegiate career. Unfortunately enough for Jerry Jacobs, he ended up going undrafted in this prior draft. However, he did sign as a priority free agent to the Detroit Lions, and in training camp, OTAs, and rookie mini camps, he has not taken a step back at all, and really, he's really been pushing forward and been one of the more impressive undrafted free agent rookies. Now, he's been playing coverage very tightly with his secondary members. He's a player that is playing very aggressive, very physical coverage, and actually came up with a big-time interception in 7-on-7 drills on day 4 of training camp. He's a guy that is expected to at least push for a roster spot, and if nothing else, is expected to make it on the practice squad. He's a guy that will likely be protected and will be one of the players that is kind of going to be a project guy, a guy that may not make the team year 1, but is a guy that obviously has talent, a guy that obviously is willing to work hard, has the mindset that Dan Campbell's looking for, has the mindset that Brad Holmes is looking for, and a guy that could be a really, really big focal point of this defense in the preseason and moving forward. Now, moving over to the offense just a little bit, there's been a little bit of news and a little bit more to look at as far as the offense, and on day 4, there was a lot of emphasis on moving the pocket around for Jared Goff and moving Jared Goff around in the pocket quite a bit, even to the point of Jared Goff getting outside the pocket and making plays with his feet, along with making plays obviously with his arm and making plays through the air. Now, I don't have a ton to report on with this, but I did think it was an interesting talking point that the offensive line and the pocket in general was moving quite a bit for Jared Goff, that it was moving around. Maybe it's just something to throw defense off. Maybe it's just another wrinkle that they're looking to throw into their game plan, or maybe it's a little bit more than that even, or maybe it's even a little bit more than that. Right now, I don't have a ton of news on that, but I did think it was an interesting talking point, so I did want to mention it. The offensive line had Jared Goff moving quite a bit, not necessarily because like, oh, they got beat a lot or anything like that. Like, it was designed that they were moving quite a bit and the pocket was just shifting left or right quite a lot. And I think that it might end up being a little bit more than that. I think it might end up being something that you could see as a part of the game plan here and there in the 2021 season. Now, moving back to the secondary, Jerry Jacobs was not the only one to have a really good start to training camp, as Will Harris has been a big time focal point of this defense early in training camp and early in the offseason. Now, Will Harris early has been the starting safety alongside Tracy Walker. He has been the second guy in place for that second high safety spot and has been playing really well. Very similarly to Jeff Okudah, he is coming into this season looking faster and looking way more confident in his ability to play football and looking way more comfortable in his situation in this defense. He had a lot of very good coverage snaps both on the goal line in red zone situations, but also deep down the field as a deep fielding safety. He's a player that has really struggled with coverage in the past, but early in training camp does look really solid and has had a couple good pass defended and has a lot of really good pass coverage stats, but more so has looked really good in the running game. He's a player that has stepped into the box a couple of different times and made plays here and there, and is a guy that overall just looks way more confident, looks a little bit faster, looks a little bit more comfortable in his role, and has been playing far better than anything we've seen, and really has been playing his best football since entering the NFL. Now, the last thing that we want to talk about today, the last thing that we are going to be going over for day 4 of training camp, once again, has to do with the quarterback 2 battle. However, today, we're not going to be focusing on Tim Boyle. I know in day 2 and day 3 of training camp, Tim Boyle has really been showing out and probably had the throw of the day in both of those days. Of course, yesterday with a deep touchdown pass to Damian Radley, and the day before that had a really good pass low and away in tight coverage to Tom Kennedy. But today was a day all about David Blough. David Blough in red zone passing and in red zone drills had a a phenomenal day, passing for 3 touchdowns on 3 straight passing attempts. The first one going to TJ Hawkinson, the second one going to DeAndre Swift, and the third one actually going to 7th round selection, Jamar Jefferson. Now, David Blough is a guy that's kind of been pushed to the background a little bit, a guy that has kind of been overshadowed by Tim Boyle thus far in training camp, but a guy that stepped in on day 4 saying, you're not going to take my job without a fight. I'm not going to just give you and hand you this position. I worked here. I've been here for longer than you. I am a player that is not going to be pushed around, and I'm a player that is going to compete for this second string role and the role of backup quarterback. Now, David Blough has in his own right looked really solid in training camp. It's not just today that he's looked good. He's looked good every other day. It just so happens Tim Boyle has maybe outshined him a little bit, but today was all about David Blough, and David Blough will be pushing Tim Boyle for that backup quarterback spot a little bit more, and he is kind of clawing back a little bit closer to that quarterback 2 position. But with all that being said, that is all we have for you guys today. That is the big news of day 4 of training camp. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below about the progression of this Detroit Lions team, and of course, anything that was mentioned today. But with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions!